So while I'm waiting for the background audio to clear and the wind to die down, can I have you subscribe to this channel? Thanks.
Subaru. It's known for its standard all-wheel drive, unique boxer engine, love of dogs, and rugged crossovers that look like hiking boots. Legacy veers from the company norm. It's a sedan. Remember those? They used to be the best-selling segment in America until vehicles like Forester, Outback, and Ascent shoved them aside.
Before I focus on Legacy specifically, let's touch on the sedan market. I'm not really quite sure why some automakers are effectively abandoning this segment. Yes, sales are down, but people are still buying them. And in the 20 years that I've covered this business, I've found that automakers fight tooth and nail for 0.1% of market share. Besides, the expensive part of developing a vehicle is in the architecture and drivetrain. Legacy shares its with Outback and Ascent.
In fact, all but the WRX, STI, and BRZ use the Subaru global platform, and all except BRZ get a symmetrical all-wheel drive. I have to point that out every time. The torsional rigidity of the 7th generation Legacy structure is 70% stiffer than Gen 6, a pretty impressive leap. And I'll start out by saying everything about this new model is improved. All Subarus get a boxer engine, no asterisk there. I've run into owners that don't realize that the pistons fire horizontally, the flat engine sits low in the engine bay for a lower center of gravity. The Sport model I'm testing gets a 2.5-liter four-cylinder. Almost 90% of its parts are new. It's rated at 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque. Subaru is big on continuously variable transmissions, so no surprise, Legacy uses one. Love the confident mechanical feel of the shifter. There are simulated gear shifts at your fingertips, and those aren't bad. Drive modes are in the touchscreen menu, so is the automatic engine start-stop system's defeat page.
Legacy is available with a more powerful 2.4-liter four-cylinder turbocharged engine, but not on the Sport. You would think that's the engine that sporty buyers would gravitate to, huh?
Subaru claims an 8.4 second 0 to 60 mile an hour run.
This one's not going to knock you back into your seat, but it's fine. It's just fine.
Just not sporty. There's a new lighter and stronger suspension with McPherson struts up front and double wishbone layout in back. That doesn't mean it lives up to the badge on the rump.
Apparently, there's no difference in the suspension settings between Legacy models. They're all the same, even the Sport. This is a very comfortable car. Hit a sharp bump and it gets soaked up very nicely.
But it also means there's going to be more body roll and dive than, say, Honda Accord and Mazda 6. Sport is an appearance trim level, only cosmetics. The boxer engine's low center of gravity gives Legacy the usual edge, but enthusiasts shouldn't expect STI or WRX dynamics from Sport. Maybe a Legacy version of either of those would help sell more sedans, huh?
Steering feel, that's on the numb side, and I do wish that the on-center feel was a bit more locked down. Legacy is fairly quiet. This would be a decent road tripper. Plus, the A-pillars are on the thin side, and they're not raked way back like a lot of modern cars, so visibility is decent.
All-wheel drive doesn't necessarily mean poor fuel economy. The 2.5-liter is EPA rated at an average of 30 miles per gallon. In mixed driving, I saw 28.
In regular motoring about town, this feels like a regular geared transmission. However, put your foot into it hard and it does feel like a continuously variable unit. It's a little bit rubbery and elasticy.
Keep in mind that Legacy does not have a lock on all-wheel drive midsize sedans anymore. It's available on Nissan Altima and the 2020 Toyota Camry.
Let's get back to that automatic engine start-stop system. Not all of them are smooth. This one is fine. Take your foot off the brake and you'll feel it. If you're really picky, you can go through the menu and turn it off.
I'm guessing owners will just leave it on and not hassle with it. Adding to Legacy's long list of improvements is the interior. Material quality is way up. The Sport is not an expensive trim level, and still it looks distinctive in here, even if it doesn't drive like a performance sedan. Leather can be cold and slippery, so grippy, breathable, and heated cloth seats are nice for a change. I find them too broad to hold me during sporty driving, though bigger people will appreciate the wide bolsters. Here's a cool detail. The cluster graphics brake lights activate when pushing the pedal. I'm easily amused, I guess.
In the past, Subaru's Starlink user interface was pretty rudimentary, and now most Legacies come with this giant touchscreen.
At 11.6 inches, it's bigger than a standard iPad. The graphics are crisp, and the response is pretty good. There are buttons for the things used the most. It can also be split and arranged the way a driver wants. Not all is perfect. For example, adjusting the heated seats means touching here, which gets you to a different page where the selection is actually done. In other words, there can be too many actions to get to what you want. But there are over-the-air updates, so it can be improved. All Legacies get standard Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, even the base model that doesn't come with the big screen.
So, more of a sedan guy or an SUV guy? Doesn't really matter to me as long as I'm comfortable back here, and I am, starting with the cushions. These are high enough so that I've got good support here.
Pockets are always good to have. Legacy is pretty practical back here. Heated rear seats are not available on the Sport model. Electronics can be charged up, and I will point out that Subaru did not cheap out on the trim back here. It's the same as in the front. While the drive shaft tunnel will get in the middle passenger's way, two full-grown adults will have nothing to complain about.
If you're a Subaru fan that often carries big things like dog crates, which are very popular with Subi owners, I suggest going with the Outback because it has that great big wide opening. Not that this trunk is small.
For starters, there's a spare tire. Not all vehicles get those these days. Seat releases keep you from opening the back doors to drop the seat, though it is quite a reach to push them down. No ski pass-through of any kind. That's something Subi owners would use, I'd think. The trunk opening is on the wide side for loading big things, but I can see the appeal of a big hatch opening. Legacy can take on a lot of kit. Generally, cars in this class score a 6 in the TP trunk test. Legacy manages a 7. Generally, using the words styling and Subaru in the same sentence is like using honest and politician together. They aren't often associated with each other. This brand is not known for cutting-edge design. Legacy has a solid, appealing look to it, but the four-door fashionista will gravitate to Mazda 6 or Honda Accord. Subaru owners are fiercely loyal to the Constellation Pleiades badge, and this sheet metal is probably the safe visual that they're looking for. Speaking of safety, Subaru has developed a reputation in that regard too.
Subaru's EyeSight system is standard, and it includes automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection and adaptive cruise control. It's unique in that it's a camera-based optical system, very highly rated by the IIHS, and that's a good thing.
I found the adaptive cruise control and lane keeping dynamic to be excellent on the highway, even through curves. Have to wonder how the optics are affected by heavy rain and snow. Legacy gives people that don't want an SUV the choice of all-wheel drive. That's good because last time I checked, sedans are still being bought. Starting at $23,645 for a base model and just over $30,000 as tested for this Sport, it's a solid deal. The secret to success is giving the customer what they want. Subaru's comes from giving its loyal buyers a safe, comfy choice. One last thing about sedans. My neighbor Velma has been looking for a new vehicle to replace her old Camry, and she was resigned to buying a crossover, even though she doesn't like the form factor all that much. She was thrilled to find that she could stay with the four-door and would have switched brands to get this, but now I should phone her up to let her know that Camry can also be had with all-wheel drive. She's a great neighbor, lets me store the cars that won't fit in my tiny garage in her carport. A round of applause for Velma.
Thank you for sticking around to the very end. Hope you got something out of my look at the all-new Subaru Legacy. Maybe you've decided you want a sedan and not an SUV or crossover. And a reminder, click subscribe and then notifications. I don't mean to sound desperate, but I found that once I started asking, people started subscribing. It went through the roof, and now I'm past 100,000 subscribers. And that drives the algorithm to my channel, so it's a win for all of us, okay? That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.